There's a good feeling in here already. Yeah, actually, it's not just being quiet. We have no idea the quantity of being calm and quiet is. We have no idea. You couldn't even imagine what it's like. So I've been mentioning to people that I'm very excited about this talk because it's about Zazen. And I call it Sanzen. San is the same as Sando Kai. San means like visit. It's a Japanese word for politely saying visit. And Zen itself, the kanji, I call that universe. It means everything. Nothing is left out. I mean, what could you hear, or what kind of reality is that? It's not on the market either. Okay, nothing is left out, and even myself began to realize it's larger than the universe. Intellectually, I understood it many years ago, but now I'm beginning to understand it, what it actually means. And yes, you are part of the universe because you came out from the universe. So here we are, visiting the universe. What did they say? Give up. Another word for san is to give up. Surrender or give it up. Give what up? Okay? And I'm thinking like when we sit here, I think it's around 7 to 7:15 in the morning, and about the same in the evening. The sun is almost rising. It's below the horizon. And when the sun is setting, it's twilight. This is the dawn. East is dawn. West is twilight, in between light and dark. And it's underneath the horizon. And those two times is very interesting because the sun has not quite reached the horizon, yet it illuminates a wondrous light. And people think of it as beautiful, but it is beautiful, but it's even more beautiful than beautiful. It's the light that's wondrous. No artist or photographer can capture that kind of light. It's gold, but yet deeper than gold. And when the sun sets, it's the same way. And actually, I imagine people when they go to see the sunrise or sunset at the beach or anywhere on the world, they see the beauty of it. But behind the beauty is what we're looking at. What is behind that beautiful? What makes it so wondrous? So Eko Hensho, means turn. Ko means light. And the kanji for ko is kind of interesting. It's a person carrying a torch. Ko is light. So turn, light. And it doesn't even mention who turns the light, because since there's no self, no idea of self, return the illumination. Hen is return. Illumination is show. So we're always turning our light outside. But basically, I ran into the first woman Zen master's name, and her name was Mugai Dainyo. She was a little bit after or during Dogen's time. That's 13th century. And her name was Mugai Dainyo. And that name means no outside. daimyo is great like this. So it means no outside. Of course, I mean, when you look out, there's the outside, but first, there's no outside. It's all here. And then you look outside, then you really see what is, I mean, it is outside, but it's not outside because it's part of you. And we don't discriminate between outside and inside. We don't make the division because it's one. After you see it as one, then there's the outside and there's the inside. Understood? No outside. So Echo Hensho, sunrise, sunset, these are aspects of the universe, the principles of the universe. And actually our Zazen is in accord with that. I remember phoning up the late Koben Otagawa, and I dial his number, and then he answered, and he says, sun rises in the east and sun sets in the west. Okay, what's next? What do you say to someone that says that? I didn't know what to say. I said, hi, Koben. Oh, now I say, you got anything else to say? Right? Okay. So a meditation is not what you think it is. Not at all. People sit to become calm. That's the first mistake. Big mistake, because you are already calm. Believe it or not, beyond your personal self, your self-centered self, you are already calm. And if that was not so, how could people become calm? It has to be true, because it's all here. Isn't that why people start to begin to sit? Is they want to be calm and feeling better? But there is a calmness within yourself, in spite of what you think or what you're conditioned to. This is the ultimate fact. Because we could not become that if it wasn't there. We could not see beauty if beauty wasn't here before we see it. Okay. So in ancient times, there was not meditation in the West. I don't know. Contemplation, meditation is maybe meditate upon or of. It's about thinking a subject or a theme, something like that. Ours is quite different. I'm not sure meditation is a good word to use for Zen, but along in the history, before that was dhyana. And dhyana, you remember that? One-pointed concentration. Boy, that's strong. What do you people think of dhyana? Huh? It's like one-pointed concentration. It's not like that at all. So you're crushing everything else in your mind to get to that one-pointed concentration. But for Tathagata Zen, we just say Zen, but Tathagata Zen includes the opposites. Dhyana is just one-sided dhyana. It doesn't include the opposite. It includes just one-pointed concentration. In a way, it sounds very forceful, and you're pushing out everything else. But that's not our meditation. That's not our sanzen. So it's interesting because if you do one-pointed concentration, it's not complete. You cannot enter into the true self with one-pointed concentration. So it's interesting. The skandhas, the 5 skandhas, is a very important teaching from the Buddha, and somehow we don't talk much about it. So the skandhas is the illusion that there is a self, a permanent self. So the skandhas, when Buddha was teaching, he implied more like heaps. It wasn't. It was like a heap of grain. The 5 skandhas. You could also call them aggregates. And the first one is form. That's the matter. The rest is mentality. So you could say mentality is sensation or feeling, perception, what you perceive, discrimination or volition, what causes also karma, and consciousness of what the whole process is. That's our idea of self, the permanent self, which is separate from all things, which we are conditioned, which we believe, which is our personal self, which hardly includes everything. What it includes is suffering. Just lately, as I began studying that, I looked at the screen behind me of the Heart Sutra, and the 5 skandhas in kanji means go un. Un is bundle. Now, how do you get skandhas means scattering, confusion, unfocused, like the world, scattered. The mind is all scattered. It's upside down. But bundle, there exists a bundle within scattering. And this is true with all opposites. This is a universal principle. When there's dark, there's a little light somewhere. When it's light, there's a little dark. It goes in pairs. If it didn't go in pairs, the whole universe would be destroyed. So it's interesting. There's this little darkness within the light right now. So within the skandhas, there's a little bundle. So that means we pay attention. We don't try to destroy the skandhas. We're not interested in destroying, but we're interested in the skandhas activity of dispersing, confusion, unfocus. That's the activity of the skandhas. And so we in Zazen, we are to unify. One of the practices in Zazen is called Shushu. We are to unify the skandhas. That's what we're doing when we're sitting. We're not drifting off, we're trying to concentrate, but unifying the skandhas. I'll go in, there are 5 practices that we should be doing when we're sitting, or we should know about. Okay, so then finally, as the bundle, as the unifying factor of the bundle, finally bundles the skandhas. And when it bundles the skandhas are empty. There's nothing behind it. And this emptiness, it doesn't mean, it's not about space. It's about a cognition. The emptiness is that it has no independent existence. This is what our emptiness is about. And it's related to all things, including all of our experiences. This is emptiness. If emptiness bothers you, you call it suchness. It's the same thing. Okay, suchness and emptiness is the same thing. Behind everything is suchness or emptiness. So let me describe what's these five shushu. Yeah, shu is like you're cultivating. Um, Cultivation is a preparation. It's a discipline. It's a study. You know, like you're preparing soil for something to grow. And it's when we do shushu, it's not to improve the mind. We're thinking we're going to improve something, but we're only there to discover what is already there. It's nothing to improve. So shushu means basically learning the practice of zazen or sanzen, which unifies the scattering mind. That's what you're doing in zazen. And then you have another one called shugyo. Shugyo is people just say it's just practice, but again, it's training, discipline, conduct, cultivation of what? Not to improve the mind. The mind is perfect the way it is. And it's not a process. If I sit so many sessions or retreats, then I'll be this. It's not a process. It's moment to moment. Jishu, practical application of Dharma teachings. You know, like we're probably the only tradition, Soto Zen, that does oryoki. And when I introduced oryoki to Iceland, they said, "No, we're Icelandic people. We don't do oryoki." But it doesn't depend on culture or tradition. But I think, yeah, when I first became interested in Zen, I saw someone uh, do the tea ceremony, and we were just married, so I was in my early 20s. And when I saw that person practice tea ceremony, I saw the cloth fold itself, and I said, "That's what I want to learn. I want to know that kind of magic." And so, please, when you focus on oryoki, let the cloth fold itself. Each utensil is alive. It's not an object. It's not an object. These utensils are alive. And we make them alive by how we use them and how we are used by the utensils. Not just we use them, they use us both ways. And so now we have this practice, and now when we finish a warrior, we go into a Sama work period. This is the practice right here. It's Jishu, the practical application of the teaching. How do you apply oryoki to chainsawing? How do you apply it to your work, to your everyday life? There was a well in my book, I think uh, when I encountered fear in one chapter, when the fear came uh, in the evening during summer ongo, at the end of the day, each student at least sometime walks around the perimeter of the property of the land, and you strike the kashaku. the wooden sticks. Yeah, I think they're hanging right there. And each step you take, 7, 8 steps, you strike it once. And you hear, that means you time to go to sleep, be sure you put out all the fire. And but there's one place past the abbot's house that's very dark, and it's kind of scary because uh, the people that did it before me said it might be Bigfoot might be there. Your heart starts beating because it's so dark. And it came my turn, and I started going down, and then sure enough, the fear was there. I could feel it. But then all of a sudden, a teaching came out. You have no origin, and poof, it was gone. Isn't that great? The application of the teaching. You have to apply the teaching. And one other person, when he was sick pretty bad and maybe going to go into depression, he was in the hospital for many months. He said, "Who's the one that does not get sick?" That saved him. Apply the teachings. And Yvonne Rand, who was a longtime uh, Zen student, a very kind and compassionate person, when she got Alzheimer, and when she died, she said, "Formlessness, thank you for everything." That's great. Apply the teaching. We have to apply it so it makes sense. So that's Shishu. We have Shushu, we have Shugyo, we have Jishu. Shuren. Shuren is a metaphor. It's when the blacksmith uh, uses the hammer fire to melt down the piece of iron. So there's that kind of training. And Shuyu is another discipline preparation. When people don't like the word discipline training, but actually you have to, humanity has to have it because you're preparing yourself for something to arise within yourself. If you don't have the discipline and training, nothing can come out. It's unraveling the conditions, the years of conditioning we've had by education, tradition, culture, etc. And then the last one is Shuyu. Shuyu is raising or nourishing someone. So you have Shushu, you have Shugyo, you have Jishu, you have Shuren, you have Shuyu. Okay? Maybe this is the first time I saw these different practices. And we say Zen, or we say when you say Zen, it's actually one-sided. When you say Tata Agata, that's two-sided. Two-sided means it contains the opposites. Zen is just very flat. Tathagata Zen gives it life because we have to remember the opposites, the dichotomies, the dualities, the polarities. It causes us suffering. It causes humanity suffering. And this is the idea, to dissolve the opposites. So in Zazen, what I discovered was there's two lines from the Sandokai: the intimacy of the relative and absolute, the dissolving of the opposites. It's really a beautiful chant sutra that we. Uh, there's two lines: within light, there's darkness, but don't try to understand it. Within darkness, there's light, but don't look for it. In other words, don't do anything. This is the essence of Zazen, not non-doing. This is non-doing. This is non-arising. So maybe I conclude with Vasubandhu. And he was like one of the greatest Indian. He was one of the greatest and most influential authors in the history of the Buddha Dharma, Vasubandhu. He's one of our ancestors. And he was responsible for Abhidharma. Abhi, Uttama, Anuttara, Ati is the pinnacle, the highest. Abhidharma is the highest teaching. Are you ready for it? You just missed it. It's prior to the present. It's already gone. It's never the present. It's prior. So I'm very happy to talk about this, especially it's the Keigon school, Yogacara school, and I thank you for listening to my talks before this because I didn't know what I was talking about. But because I have the opportunity to talk, maybe I know a little bit more about, but I didn't know what I was talking about. But I had to get out there and say something, right? And you people kindly listened to me, gave me the chance. But now I think I'm beginning to understand this. This is really fantastic. The Keigon school, the Yogacara school, the Avatamsaka Sutra, the Huayan school. This is what Sun San Sansani wrote, and I changed his last sentence. I never did this before. Change Dogen's, paraphrase Dogen, or change De Sansani's last sentence. Okay, now listen. If you wish to thoroughly understand all the Buddhas of the past, present, and future, then you should view. Should means not this kind of should. It means as it is. You should view the nature of the whole universe as being created by mind alone, by consciousness alone. This doesn't mean projection. Psychologically, doesn't mean projection or anything, or even philosophy. Is the whole universe is being created by mind alone or consciousness alone. So I read to you many times the same sutra, and now this is one of Vasubandhu's what do you call it? The verses. He was also famous for these verses. Trimshika, the 30 verses on the teaching of mere manifestation. You can Google this, Vasubandhu, the 30 verses. and very difficult to understand. It's written in an old-fashioned way, but the truth is the same. Okay, so I'll introduce you just to the last few. There's 30 verses from the last few verses. And mere manifestation took me a long time to understand what does mere manifestation mean. It means things just as they are. It's very simple, but very profound. Things just, everything you see in front of you is it. Everything in back of you is it. But we don't know it. Because we're not prepared for it. Anyway, I'll read 27, 28, 29, and 30. Okay. And it's about everything I've been talking about. Although there may be perception, idea of something, perception, all this is mere manifestation, even though there's perception. Because this still involves an object or perception in front of it. It does not yet really dwell in mere that. Do you want me to read it again? Okay. Although there may be perception in the five skandhas, there's perception, right? But even though there's perception, all this is mere manifestation. It's just things as they are, that is appearing before you. The glass, the stick, the incense, it's all in front of you. All this is mere manifestation, because this still involves an object of perception. There's no object. It does not yet really dwell in mere that. 27, 28, but when mind no longer grasps at an object or consciousness, this is your Zazen practice. When the mind does not grasp at anything, expectation, thinking, images, when the mind no longer grasps objects of consciousness, it will stop at mere consciousness. For without any object to grasp, we are freed from grasping. You're free of, and who grasps? You grasp, you attach, you suffer. You are free from grasping. You're liberated. You're free from yourself because you have the idea and the action of grasping. The mind is without discrimination and without attainment. You're not interested in becoming a Buddha. You're not interested in discrimination. You're not interested in thinking. You're not even interested in not doing. You're not even interested in Zazen. You're just sitting there. That's all it is. You sit down, you maybe adjust your posture a little bit, and you breathe. That's all it is, sitting on your chair or on your zafu. No discrimination, no attainment, okay? And that the supramundane wisdom operates when the double incapacity is abandoned, when the duality or polarities is abandoned. We're not interested because we're not doing anything. Nothing appears. Everything is abandoned. The transformation at the base is realized. You're liberated. That's your liberation. Oh, let me see. It's, yeah. Oh, we'll go back to 28. But when mind no longer grasps as an object of consciousness, okay, it will stop at mere consciousness. When it stops at consciousness, that's why they say consciousness only or mind only. It stops right there because there's no object to grasp. That's liberation. When the word consciousness only means it stops right there. There's no objective world. There's no attachment. You're free. You're free from yourself. That's what was I finally understood. It stops at mere consciousness. That's why you hear the words consciousness only or mind only. Yushin. Okay. Okay. Oh, now we have achieved our basic realization and we're all liberated. And the last sentence, 30. It is a realm of non-setback. You don't digress. Inconceivable. It's inconceivable. It really is inconceivable. It's beneficial, stable, bliss, the body of liberation, called the Dharmakaya, the great sage of Shakyamuni Buddha. Yeah, I think that's enough, huh? Thank you for listening again.